Welcome to today's deep dive. It is July 7th, 2026, and today we're looking at some devotional notes and translations centered on a really ancient text, Psalm 111.
Yeah, and our mission for this deep dive is to, unpack what this text says about the true definition of wisdom, because it's pretty radically different from how we usually think about it.
Oh, totally. I mean, we live in an era where ancient wisdom has basically been reduced to, 10 life hacks for a better morning routine.
Right.
We treat these profound spiritual truths like productivity apps. You search for wisdom online, and you just get strategies to unlock a happier or wealthier life.
Yeah, the whole, will this make me richer or happier mindset.
Exactly. But the devotional notes we're diving into today argue that our so-called smart choices might actually be missing the point entirely.
And to be fair, the text doesn't dismiss those smart choices outright. The notes explicitly acknowledge that, avoiding foolish decisions and using your resources well generally leads to a more stable life.
Sure, that just makes sense.
It does, but it draws this razor-sharp line between worldly wisdom, which essentially asks, how can I live my life better, and biblical wisdom.
Right, and I was thinking about this kind of like a GPS.
Okay, how so?
Well, worldly wisdom is like a GPS where you punch in your own destination, right? You look for the fastest, most comfortable route to your own personal success.
Yeah, that's a really good analogy.
But biblical wisdom sounds like getting in the passenger seat and letting the Creator drive. The destination changes entirely. But wait, if the focus shifts away from our own personal benefit, does this ancient text mean we just ignore our basic human needs?
No, and that tension is exactly where the core shift happens. It isn't about ignoring your needs at all. Yeah. It's about changing your foundational question from, how can I get what I want to, how can I live the life God desires?
Wow.
Yeah, it stops being a strategy for personal success and becomes this practice of knowing the divine. And the anchor for this entire concept is in Psalm 111, verse 10, which says, the fear of the Lord is the beginning of wisdom.
Let's stop with that word fear for a second.
Sure.
Because in a modern context, fear implies running away from a threat, right?
Yeah.
Like terror or anxiety. That doesn't sound very wise. It just sounds, stressful.
Right. But the sources clarify that this translates much closer to deep reverence or awe.
Awe?
Yeah, it's a recognition of the sheer scale of the divine. When you recognize that scale, your own desires naturally take a back seat. And this actually sets up the specific outcomes the text describes for the people who choose this path of reverence.
Which really makes you look in the mirror and ask, where am I actually sourcing my wisdom? Am I just parroting some cultural trend off social media, or am I anchoring my decisions in that kind of reverence?
It's a tough question.
Because giving up control of the GPS sounds terrifying. If you're giving up that short-term self-directed hustle, what exactly are you trading it in for?
Well, according to Psalm 111, you receive profound provision. The text states that God provides food for those who revere him, remembers his covenant forever, and even gives his people the inheritance of the nations.
Wait, inheritance of the nations. That sounds incredibly epic, but what does that actually mean for someone reading this today? Are we talking about a spiritual legacy?
Kind of, yeah.
And what does remembering a covenant actually look like in practice?
So a covenant is essentially an unbreakable promise of relationship. So when the text says God remembers it, it means absolute enduring security.
Okay, I see.
And the inheritance of the nations refers to the ultimate fulfillment of God's promises, basically receiving a permanent place and a purpose in a restored world. The mechanism here is surrender.
Surrender.
Exactly. When you stop obsessively trying to secure your own future, your own hustle, you free up the mental and spiritual bandwidth to actually trust that the Creator will provide that ultimate security.
You trade praising your own cleverness for praising the Creator.
Spot on.
So true wisdom, then, isn't some selfish pursuit of stability. It's not just like optimizing your calendar or your investment portfolio.
Not at all.
It is trading short-term, self-made security for a life lived in reverence to a much higher will.
And it leaves you with this really compelling question. The text explicitly states that this awe, this fear of the Lord, is only the beginning of wisdom.
Just the entry point.
Right. So if reverence is merely the beginning, what does the absolute peak of that wisdom look like in a human life after decades of practice?
Yeah. If you've been sitting in the passenger seat for a lifetime, where does that GPS eventually take you? Something for you to ponder as you go about your day. Thanks for joining us on this deep dive.